Hey, welcome back to my Dusty Builder channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how we replace an old drafty window. Actually, there were two drafty windows joined together with one smaller, brand new, energy efficient window. And then we dressed it up with some cheap trim that you can just buy at the box store. And I think it looks beautiful. If you're thinking about doing something like this yourself, this will be a great resource. It's on backwards. Okay, so we hit a few speed bumps, but ultimately it was nothing that we couldn't overcome. And the final product is waterproof and it looks beautiful. To remove these bad boys, I'm using a Sawzall and I'm cutting all around the window, and I'm also cutting between the windows because they're joined together. And once they're free, my son and I were able to take them out without any problems. Now we got a clean slate. The nice part about installing smaller windows is that the structure in place is fine, so we just had to frame in the area for the rough opening of the window. You can see here, I'm taking extra care to make sure that that bottom sill is nice and level. If that's level, then the window install is a breeze. Our rough opening, as you can see here, is 60 by 48. And this is where you can really save some money. We're not beholden to a specific size, so you can go to a lumber yard or a box store and you can pick through their return windows. In my case, I just bought off-the-shelf windows from Home Depot. They're Anderson 100s, and they're cheaper because Home Depot buys them in bulk, but they're also pretty decent windows. With the framing for our new window complete, it's time to button up the outside. And this is where your house might look different than mine. The exterior sheathing on my house is 1 inch of foam. So rather than install the windows on top of the foam, I nailed those two pieces of plywood together, and together they're the same thickness as the foam. And that's called a window buck. And that window buck will be a nice solid surface to install my window to. The nice part about working with the foam is it's really easy to cut and it's very lightweight. Once all the holes are filled in, I'm going to air seal everything with some construction tape. Now, I would do the same thing if I was using OSB or plywood. This is just ensuring that we're not going to have any cold air blowing into the house in the winter, and it's going to keep bugs out, and this is good practice.
Hi, Pop. I know. You wondering what I'm doing.
Since I'm not quite ready to Tyvek the whole back of my house yet, I am just going to install Tyvek about 2 feet on either side of this window opening, and that'll ensure that the window is installed and flashed properly, and that way it'll never leak. I cut the Tyvek tape flush with the outside of the window, and then I use tape to secure the Tyvek to the inside of the window. That's going to prevent any water or air from infiltrating the window area. So not to toot my own horn, but we do a pretty good job of flashing this window. But just in case we don't and water gets through, we're going to have a sloped sill pan. And I'm adding a piece of beveled siding to the sill. Now, I accounted for this when I made the area for the rough opening. I made it a 1/2 inch taller. So the first step is I'm using some flexible flashing tape, and I'm just going to put that in the corners. You don't have to do this. You could just use regular flashing tape. But I had this laying around from a house build I did. Waterproofing these corners has always been a difficult job, and it's always a point of contention. And now with the addition of these flexible tapes, it kind of solves that problem. It does a good job of sealing and buttoning everything up. And to bridge the two areas together, I just have what's called zip tape. It's really just like, it's like flashing tape. I could have used that Pella flashing tape, and I secure half of it to the windowsill and the other half to the Tyvek, and then I press it down. Here's a look at our completed window flashing. Everything's waterproof, and I also tack some shims in place so when we install the window, we won't accidentally knock them down. And with that level in place, you can see we're good to go. We're perfectly level, ready for the window. Before I get too far along, I want to talk about the requirements for a bedroom. So for the egress requirements, the movable part of the window has to be 5.7 square feet, and also the sill can be a max of 44 inches above the finished floor. If you have any questions if your window meets the egress requirements, you can go onto the manufacturer website. You can see here at Anderson, they have like a little circle next to the window, and that indicates that it meets the egress requirements. Okay, after all that, it's finally time to install our window. We were able to bring it through the inside and then put it through the opening at an angle, and then do it all over again.
It's on backwards.
We need to slide it over this way a little more.
Your way?
So yeah, we installed the window backwards. I'm not sure how I did it, but I managed to do it somehow. But at any rate, the window's oriented the right way now, and I'm going to take some caulk and I'm going to place it behind the window flange. That way, if any water were to get behind our flashing tape, it's going to hit that caulk and hopefully not get inside. Then we're going to secure it to the upper right-hand corner. Then we're going to check for plumb and level and square.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. And 76 and an eighth. 76 and I would say a 16th. So we're off a 16th. That's within our tolerances.
Our window's plumb, level, and square, and the last thing we're going to check is the reveal. We're going to leave about an 1/8 inch reveal, and we're going to make sure that it's even from the top of the window down. And we're in really good shape.
She closes. Oh yeah. All right, so we're gonna nail her off.
So everything didn't go that perfectly. Here's another issue we ran into. The sash was bowed and it was striking the jamb of the window. So I didn't figure this out myself. My father-in-law came over and instantly saw it, but it was no big deal. We went to Home Depot. They let me open up a new box and then grab a new window sash out of the new box, and then they returned the old one. I guess that's the benefit of buying from a box store. They had some in stock. All right, since we have something solid to nail on here, we have our window buck. We're just going to nail ourselves off here. The manufacturer allows for the use of nails or screws. I chose 2-inch roofing nails. Okay, so we have the window installed. Now we're going to do a bulletproof install to make sure no water gets inside. We already have caulk along the flanges here, so that's one way to keep water out. And then we're going to double that up with some flashing tape. So I'm going to do that right now. There's lots of different kinds of these flashing tapes available. I found this Pella stuff. I think it was at Lowe's, and it works really nicely. And when I put it on here, I'm going to obviously cover the flange, and then I want it to be just a little bit on to the window itself. We got the one side done. Now we're going to do the other side. Okay, we got the sides done. Now it's time to do the top. And then once we do the top, then we're going to fold the tie back on over it.
No, you know when they were like redoing.
So now we have the tape on the top, and that's sealed. Now we're going to put a little flashing cap on top, and I just buy that from Lowe's. And if you notice, I cut this, I have marks on here where it's a 1/4 inch wider. Yeah, I know you couldn't see it. So we measured a 1/4 inch, and we're going to take that little niblet off, and then we're just going to make a small cut in the crease, and then we're going to bend it up. So we got these two guys bent up. Install this right here. So we're just going to tack this up, put a few nails in here. And then just to make sure this is 100% waterproof, we're going to put another layer of tape on over that flashing. You know what they call doing, like just doing two things that basically ensures that the job is done?
Double jeopardy.
They don't call it double jeopardy. They call it the belt and suspenders approach. So like you're holding up your pants.
I will wear what belt and suspenders mean.
Okay, so
I know what a belt and a suspender is. You're double holding up your pants. I don't need
right.
you to
You're double holding up your pants, and we're double, maybe even triple.
I got the reference. I'm sure like you're not putting 3 layers of tape on it. We're not.
Dude, okay.
That's like putting a pair of cargo pants over.
We have this tape behind this, so that'll direct water out. Then we have the metal belt, suspenders, and then what is this? Like an extra helper.
That's underwear. Cargo pants or something.
This is suspenders for your underwear. That's how you know someone's really, really thorough.
He wears a belt and suspenders all the time.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. He wears his overalls and he occasionally has a belt on.
See? And this Papa Thorough, he takes care of business, doesn't he?
With our final piece of flashing in place, it's time to button up the Tyvek. And I didn't mention it, but we cut 2 angled slits in the Tyvek and created a flap. And that was so we could have room to flash it. Now we're going to button up those slits with Tyvek tape. And then finally, we're going to secure the Tyvek to that aluminum drip cap, and we're going to do that with Tyvek tape.
Cool, I think we did it. Here, let's take a closer look.
Our flashing tape is just kissing the side of the window, and if you notice, there's no flashing at the bottom of the window. If water does get in there, it'll be able to hit that sill pan and drop out. And here's a look at our baller install of the drip cap. Looking sweet. With the outside buttoned up and waterproof, we can move to the inside. We're going to air seal the windows with some low expanding window foam. We're going to do something else as well, but this is the first step. And then Junior is going to get rid of these shims with a multi-tool. Before we put our drywall up, it's also time to do insulation. And I'm using a framing square to help make nice cuts. And then with a straight edge, I can make some narrower cuts. When I measure for insulation, I measure about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch larger than the opening. That ensures a nice snug fit. Now you don't want to go too big because then the insulation doesn't fit properly in the hole. And for fiberglass to work, fiberglass gets a bad rap, but it works just fine if it's installed properly. So once I install it, then I fluff it up nice, so there's no voids and it functions like it should. Sorry I didn't show it, but my son and I hung the drywall, and we're dealing with some pretty gnarly butt joints. You can see we got some pretty good gaps. So a good trick is to mix up some 20-minute mud or Durban to fill these gaps. It wouldn't really look nice if we taped over this, so this hot mud, it's called, dries really hard, and it's going to give us a nice flat surface to tape to. But we got to clean it up. Once it's dry, we're ready to tape the seams. I put a nice thin layer of drywall compound on, and then I can place the tape on. We place the tape, and then we just smooth everything out with our drywall knife and remove any excess. If you don't have enough drywall compound, the tape won't stick, and if you have too much, it's a mess. In either case, you do it over again. To fix that butt joint's fairly high compared to the surrounding surfaces, so I ended up using several coats. You can see how wide the coats are, and I used several coats to make it nice and flat. All right, the drywall's done and primed and looking sweet, and before we start trimming the window out, I mentioned we air sealed the window using low expanding foam. The issue with this foam is that over time it can degrade and eventually let air in. So to fix that, I'll fill that void with caulk. I'll use whatever leftover caulk I have laying around, and for the bigger gaps, I'll use Tyvek tape like you see here. All right, it's time to dress up this off-the-shelf Home Depot window and make it look like $1 million. The first step is we're going to measure for the sill. We have to account for the width of the casing on each side of the sill. Now the casing measures 2 1/4 inches wide. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because I think it looks nicer. Next, we're going to use a router with a roundover bit to ease the edge of that sill. Okay, we have the window air sealed. We have our sill cut and fit. And now it's time to place the sill, and then we can start trimming out the rest. I want to set the sill in place so it's nice and strong. To do that, I use construction adhesive underneath, and I'm also using some 2-inch long 6D nails. And I'm pre-drilling some holes to prevent any kind of splitting.
Certainly was 3 3/16.
We're going to finish off the sides of the window, also called the window jamb, with some wood. I think that's going to dress it up as opposed to using drywall. And so you can see I measured, and my measurement was 3 1/8 wide, but we're going to make it a little bit longer, 3 3/16. And then once we have our measurements, I cut everything with a circular saw. You see I didn't even have to use a table saw. I'm going to make sure everything's nice and square, and I'm going to secure the pocket screws. And I also had some glue on those joints too to make sure that they're nice and good. We can set the jamb in place as a unit, and then I secure everything with a nail gun. I believe I'm using 2-inch long nails, and that's a 15 gauge finish nailer. I like to pre-assemble my window casing as well. Once it's glued, I clamp it together with a Collins clamp, and then I'm going to secure them just to make sure with a couple brad nails. Once that wood's slightly dry, you can handle it, and I'm going to set it in place. I'm going to nail through the casing into the window jamb with a brad nailer, and then I use a slightly larger nailer to nail into the framing members. That's a 15 gauge nailer that I'm using there, and you don't want to go too close to the miters. Our last step to really dress this window up is to install a little bit of crown molding underneath the sill. This is a great little project if you're just learning how to do crown molding. We cut one outside corner, and then we measure for our other outside corner and cut that too. The trick with crown molding is that it sits at an angle against your wall. And the trick to cutting it is we're going to replicate that same angle against the miter fence, only we flip the crown molding upside down. To finish off the ends, we're going to just cut a couple returns. We're going to glue and clamp them with those Collins clamps, and then put a couple brad nails in them. I set the crown molding in place, then I use a few brad nails to secure it to the windowsill, and a couple larger nails to secure it to the framing towards the bottom of the crown. For professional looking finish, I filled in all the nail holes with some drywall compound, then I caulked all the seams, and I finished everything off with 2 coats of some nice gloss paint. And I think you can see underneath there I have a couple spots showing. I put some primer on some of the knots of the pine so it doesn't bleed through. Once that was all done, I finally got to the last part, and that was giving everything a nice new coat of paint. And my daughter's very happy with the outcome. So there you have it. That's all there is to it. And it is a fair amount of work, but if you take each step by step, and think about what you're doing, you can do it yourself. I know it. Let me know what questions you have, and I'll see you in the next one.